First of all, I would like to thank Agriculture Information for giving me this opportunity. And today's topic of presentation is climate smart agriculture. So we'll start with basically what is climate smart agriculture. So climate smart agriculture is an approach to help farmers who maintain agriculture systems respond effectively to climate change. So basically there are three objectives, that is sustainably increase productivity and farmers' incomes, adapting to climate change, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Now CSA approach, the climate smart agriculture approach, seeks to reduce trade-offs and promote synergies by taking these objectives into consideration to inform decisions from local to the global scale and over short and long time horizons to deliver locally acceptable solutions. This means that we need to transform our business models and how we interact with the environment at grassroots level in order to ensure that we create a climate resilient global infrastructure. Now, why do we need climate smart agriculture? So the majority of the world's population live in rural areas and are primarily dependent on agriculture income source, developing the potential to increase the productivity and incomes from smallholder crop, livestock, fish, and forest production systems will be a key to achieve global food security over the next 20 years. Its effects include higher temperatures, changes in precipitation patterns, rising sea levels, and more frequent extreme weather events. And all these changes in weather pose risk to agriculture, food, and water supplies, which are essential for human survival on this planet. Now, what are the key facts when we talk about climate smart agriculture? We need to consider a few key facts. So, we need to understand that there is increase in frequency and intensity of extreme events, and it is already evident that there are extreme events happening all across the globe. There are droughts, heavy rainfalls, and flooding. Now, following with drought, agriculture absorbs up to 84% of all economic impact. Agriculture is one sector which is highly impacted due to adverse climatic changes. Now, sea level rise and there is low river flow, which is causing more saltwater intrusion in deltas and is also threatening aquacultures. While global emissions are dropping, there are emissions that are increasing. And in the past, basically 25 years, the global emissions have increased from zero point 0.4 to 1 gigaton of CO2 emissions per year. And long-term conversion of grassland and forest land to cropland has resulted in global loss of soil carbon. Now, Himalayan snow and ice that provides vast amounts of water for agriculture in Asia are expected to decline by 20% by 2030, and some experts are also saying that they might disappear by 2050 or 2060, which is a very alarming situation for humanity. Agriculture sectors in developing countries absorb approximately 22% of economic impact caused by medium or large scale natural hazards and disasters. And integrating adaptation efforts and finance into these sectors are critical. Adaptation through changes in food production management, especially planting dates, cultivar choice, and irrigation, have the estimated potential to increase yields by an increase of 7 to 15%. Now, trade policies must be aligned with the climate objectives to ensure that there are open trade plays, and it's important that we start basically adapting to the climate change and start implementing technologies which help us to mitigate these risks. Now, why climate smart agriculture is the need of the hour? Now, we all know that we have a growing population and our diets are changing, and production is struggling to keep up as crop yields level off and many parts of the world, and the ocean health is also declining, and natural resources including soil, water and biodiversity are stretched dangerously thin. A report found that nearly 690 million people, or 8.9% of the global population, are hungry, up by nearly 60 million in last 5 years, which is also an alarming issue given the SDGs which are established by UN. Now the food security challenge will become more difficult as the world will need more food, about 70% more food by 2050 to feed estimated 9 billion people. The challenge is intensified by agriculture extreme vulnerability to climate change. Climate change negative impacts are already being felt in agriculture, and that is primarily due to increasing and more frequent climate disasters. And on the contrary, it is very difficult to tackle these climatic events. We as humans are not able to control these climatic events, and hence it has become more important that we start adapting, and basically we start adapting technologies which will help us to mitigate these challenges. Now, substantial investment in adaptation will be required to maintain current yields and to achieve production and food quality in basically. So the problem also works in reverse. So basically, agriculture is the major part of climate problem because 40% of the forest are being removed primarily to practice agriculture. Agriculture generates 19 to 25% of total greenhouse gas emissions, and without action, that percentage could rise substantially as other sectors reduce their emissions. Additionally, one third of the food produced globally is either lost or wasted. Addressing food loss and waste is critical to help meet climate goals and reduce stress on the environment. Now, the thing is that how can you generate carbon credits from agriculture if agriculture itself is a part of a climate problem? So beware of what you are investing your time and money. There is something which is fishy about carbon credits, how they are being generated, and few investors and few world leaders believe that carbon credits is the way forward. So I request all the listeners to understand the gravity of the situation and why climate smart agriculture is of utmost importance for national and global food security. Now, climate smart agriculture and the World Bank Group. So there is a very big relation between these two things. So World Bank is currently scaling up climate smart agriculture and is committed to working with countries to deliver climate smart agriculture that achieves triple win of increased productivity, enhanced resilience, and reduced emissions. In 2020, 52% of the World Bank financing is agriculture agriculture also targeted climate adaptation and mitigation. They will World Bank has committed to the client countries that they will implement their nationally determined contributions in the agriculture sector and will contribute to progress on the sustainable development goals for climate action, poverty, and eradication of hunger. Quality education is also very critical to ensure that the masses are informed about climate mitigation and adaptation techniques. The World Bank also backs research programs such as CGIAR, which develops climate smart technologies and management methods, early warning systems, risk insurance, and other innovations that promote resilience and combat climate change. Climate smart agriculture country profiles bridges a knowledge gap by providing clarity on CSA terminology, components, relevant issues and how to contextualize them under different country conditions or basically climatic conditions. These profiles are also a methodology for accessing a baseline on climate smart agriculture at the country level, both national and subnational, that can guide climate smart investments and development. There are numerous projects that are basically under development by the World Bank, and approximately 2.5 billion US dollars have been invested with the potential to benefit over 80 million people across these countries. Now, with the there is so much research happening, there is a concept of climate smart village which is coming up. So therefore, a lot. Uh, so basically, it is only through capacity building and working as communities, we humans will be able to build a climate resilient global food supply chain. And hence, people have started creating models for climate smart village, which is basically have four components, that is capacity building for farmers, cropping and water management, advocacy platforms, and capacity building for climate resilient technologies. Now, we understood that what is climate smart agriculture and why climate smart agriculture is needed. But how are we going to create a climate resilient agriculture infrastructure? So these are few of the technologies that could help humanity to pave a way forward towards a global climate resilient infrastructure. So first is climate plant nutrition. So precision nutrient management practices needs to be adopted by the farmers, and incorporation of small amounts of secondary and micronutrients are very important. Now, if you could see in the chart given below, you could clearly see that different elements, different micro elements and macro elements are important for increasing the yield and how the fruit will set and what quality of fruit you will get. And if we are not able to supplement these nutrients or macronutrients to the plants, then there is a productivity loss. So precision nutrient management is one of the techniques which needs to be adopted by the farmers. Now, when we supplement nutrients in a precision manner, what happens is that the nitrogen efficiency, the nitrogen uptake efficiency increases. It also boosts the farm's yield by approximately 35%. Plants become more tolerant to heat, cold, floods, and drought. The water use efficiency increases by up to 250% in some cases, which is really helpful, especially to build a climate resilient infrastructure. The overall nutritional value of the food also increases. Then the second is pest management. So integrated pest management techniques is a science-based sustainable decision-making process that uses information of on pest biology, environmental data, and technology to manage pest damage in a way that minimizes both economic cost and risks to people, property, and the environment. And there are five pillars to that. Basically, you need to first identify the pest, monitor the pest, then you need to evaluate the area of damage, then you need to ensure that you adopt techniques to prevent the spread of that particular pest, and then you need to take actions. So you need to either spray some pesticide or use some biopesticides to ensure that the pest is under control. And then again, you have to monitor that the pest is under control, and if necessary actions are needed, then you take them. Now, how do we use techniques that are ecological and sustainable? So biopesticides, biochemical traps, using fungi or bacteria, basically microbial pesticides, is a way forward which are ecological and sustainable. Then heat tolerant seeds. So Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare are promoting heat resistant variety of wheat. Government of India has initiated several research projects entitled for breeding high yielding wheat genotypes for stress conditions of warmer regions of India. Several other crops are also being developed for heat tolerance due to concerns raised by rapidly changing climate. Few of them are basically millets, soybean, sorghum, and other crops. These are few of the wheat varieties that have been launched by various institutions and could be procured at the regional center. I would like to say one more thing. Some people say that there are climate smart seeds, there are climate resilient seeds. So I would say that this is a type of misinformation because every biologist knows that after 45 degrees Celsius or 46 degrees Celsius, the biological systems start to denaturate. So it is very difficult for any biological system to tolerate excess heat. And some few people are making basically spreading misinformation. And I would like to use this platform to inform people that be aware and understand why these why basically it is important to not get misguided by such people. Then there is soil health. Now soil health plays a vital role for crop yield and productivity as it increases crops quantity and quality. However, poor knowledge and management of the same have wrecked healthy soil, leading to inferior produce and an economic crisis for farmers. The Soil Health Survey conducted in 1920 by the central government found that 50% of the country's soil is deficient in nitrogen and 42% in organic carbon and phosphorus. And the list goes on. 33% is 33% of country soil is deficient in zinc, 22% is deficient in boron, and the other micronutrients. And all these micronutrients also play an important role in protecting plants and increasing the productivity of the plants. And therefore, it is important that we need to have good biological activity and we should have good nutrients in our soil. And for that, organic farming is the best method. And then basically, we move on to protected cultivation. So, protected cultivation is a process of growing crops in a controlled environment. This means that the temperature, humidity, light, and such other factors can be regulated as per requirement of the crop. This assists in a healthier and a larger produce. There are various types of protected cultivation practices, and few of them are forced ventilated greenhouse, solar passive greenhouses, naturally vented polyhouses, insect proof net house, shade net house, plastic tunnel and mulching, raised beds, drizzling and drip irrigation. These are few of the techniques which could be adopted by farmers given on their budget and they can increase their productivity as well as their income. Then multi-cropping model. So intercropping is a way or a method of growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same piece of land with a definite row pattern. The most common goal of intercropping is to produce a greater yield of a given piece of land by making use of resources that would otherwise not be utilized by a single crop. Careful planning is required, taking account taking into account the soil, climate, crops, and varieties, where you are growing, what kind of soil you have, what is the condition or the state of soil health, what all nutrients are will be available to the plants. And these are few examples of basically intercropping, upland rice plus French bean, upland rice plus groundnut, maize and groundnut, maize and soya bean, maize plus green gram, maize plus field pea, coffee plus banana. Then drip irrigation. Drip irrigation is the most efficient water and nutrient delivery system for growing crops. It delivers water and nutrients directly to the plant's root zone in the right amounts at the right time. So each plant gets exactly what it needs when it needs to grow optimally. Farmers can produce higher yields while saving on basically the cost on water, fertilizer, energy, crop protection products, and there is increased land utilization. And these systems, when we use drip irrigations, these agricultural farms have greater stability and lower risks. Then organic farming. So FAO suggests that organic agriculture is a unique production method system which promotes and enhances agro ecosystem health, including biodiversity, biological cycles, and soil biological activity. And accomplished by this is accomplished by using on-farm agronomic, biological, and mechanical methods in exclusion of all synthetic of farm inputs. It is an agriculture system that uses ecologically based pest controls and biological fertilizers derived largely from animal and plant waste. Now, organic farming is not new to Indian farmers. However, it is still new for the Western world. Now, these are the three objectives of, or you can say benefits of doing organic farming, that it protects the long term fertility of soils, it maintains soil nutrients and biological activity, and it also includes management of livestock. So people can basically reduce their cost, their input cost, and could generate extra revenue by managing livestock. Regenerative farming. Regenerative agriculture focuses on improving the health of soil, which has been degraded by use of heavy machinery, fertilizers, and pesticides in intensive farming or industrial farming. Regenerative farming methods includes minimizing the plowing of land and rotating crops to improve agroecology while using animal manure and compost to help return nutrients to the soil. And these are the few aspects of regenerative agriculture, that is silvoplaster, agroforestry, farmer managed natural regeneration, crop management, and soil management. Then there is vertical farming. So vertical farming is a farming on vertical surfaces rather than traditional horizontal agriculture. By using vertically stacked layers, farmers can produce much more food on the same amount of land or even less. Some vegetables in nature produce vines such as cucumbers, tomatoes, bell peppers, and certain fruits also like watermelons, melons. And these vine crops could be basically, we can enable them to climb, therefore to get maximum returns from them. And there is a need to stack these plants or basically bind these plants with a support, and using a rope like material. And these are few of the advantages of using vertical farming: increased sunlight exposure, easy pollination of the crop, reduces exposure to fungal diseases, and deters insects and pests because the plants are not in direct contact with the soil. They are basically somehow, with using a material, they are uh, basically going upwards. So they are in less contact to the soil, and farmers can grow more crop in small spaces. And when there is less disease, we can also improve the food quality. And if we are able to cater the customer with a good quality food, farmers can easily make more income. Then urban farming. So urban farming is a new concept, and urban farming occurs when someone living in a city or heavily populated town repurposes their space to grow food or to raise smaller animals. Not every urban farm has to be at owner's house. Some urban farmers lease land and work the soil in others' backyards, and some uses rooftops or even farm indoors. Urban farming refers to the cultivation, processing, and distribution of agriculture products in urban and suburban settings, including things like vertical production, warehouse farms, community gardens, rooftop farms, hydroponics, aeroponics, and aquaponic facilities. Urban farming will further ensure food and nutrition security, bolster social and political inclusion, sustainability and environment, economic progress, and educational awareness of nutrition and food systems. Then rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is not a new technique, it's a very old technique. But howsoever, with the reduction in river flow and with intense heat waves, we all are facing challenges of drought or less water in summers. So it has become essential for communities and government to ensure that we start harvesting rainwater. It is a simple technique by which rainfall is collected for future usage. The collected rainwater may be stored, utilized in dissimilar ways, or directly for recharge purposes. With depleting groundwater levels and fluctuating climatic conditions, rainwater harvesting can play a vital role to help mitigate these effects. Capturing the rainwater can help recharge local aquifers, reduce urban flooding, ensure water availability in water scarce zone, help in increasing water table of a district, improve water supply, food production, and ultimately food security. Because without water, we cannot grow food. Then manure preparation. So compost is a result of a compost pile. Many people opt to make their own compost using waste, plant clippings, viable food scraps, and weeds. So composting is an economical and environmental friendly method. Then there is vermicompost, which is made up of basically earthworms, and it is good for all plant life because the earthworms encourage plant germination and improve soil's fertility and ability to retain more water. You can use these earthworms in your backyard to improve your soil health. Farm yard manure. So manure is a nutrient rich and it lasts long in your garden soil. However, farmyard manure is a bit strong manure, and basically this could be developed using waste from animals such as cow, horse, or other farmyard animals. Green manure. So farmers grow crops and different leguminous plants and then break them into soil. And as these plants decompose, they fertilize the earth. So certain people also tend to burn their crops after harvesting. And this is a similar method. However, that releases a lot of carbon into the atmosphere and is not a viable option in future. However, there are different methods by which they can use basically turn their leftover plants into green manure. Then there is integrated farming system model. Integrated farming system is a sustainable agriculture system that integrates livestock, crop production, fishery, poultry, tree crops, plantation crops, and other systems that benefit each other. It is based on the concept that there is no waste and waste is only a misplaced resource, which means waste from one component becomes an input for another part of the system. Now, there are different components and there are different models by which you can integrate these systems in a synergistic manner. So, the different components are basically poultry, piggery, duckery, fishery, plantation crops, apiary. Apiary is basically honeybees, mushroom cultivation, vermicomposting, and fruit cultivation. So all these techniques can basically work in a holistic and a synergistic manner, and waste from one product or one system could be used as an input for other system. Now, zero budget natural farming. Now, zero budget natural farming means raising crops without using any fertilizer and pesticide or any other external materials. So you don't have to go outside to the market and purchase anything. The zero budget refers to the zero cost of production of for all crops. Now, this is basically a guide for farmers towards sustainable farming practices, thus helping in retaining soil fertility to ensure a synthetic chemical free agriculture, and ensure at the same time that they have low cost of production and thereby enhancing the farmers income. So basically they have no external inputs, water and moisture gets conserved, they use local seeds, they have microbial inoculants to improve soil health, they integrate livestock and trees with the farming, with the agricultural land, and they also practice mixed cropping. And there are four major pillars of zero budget natural farming, that is Jivamrut, Bijamrit, Achadana, and Vapasa. So basically, uh, now this is hydroponic. So hydroponic is an innovative technology and is rapidly increasing today. And hydroponic is a technique of growing plants using water-based nutrient solution rather than soil, and can include an aggregate substrate or growing media such as vermiculite, coconut, coir or perlite or other such material. It allow for the more efficient growth of plants by putting them in direct contact with the nutrient source. In order to ensure food security of a community, it has been necessary to locally implement increasingly advanced and modern agriculture technologies such as hydroponic farming. And hydroponic farming ensure high quality produce, higher water efficiency, and sustainability with high productivity. Then there is again a new innovation, that is indoor agriculture. So this is a method of growing plants and crops on a small or large scale, but entirely indoors, that is without the use of sunlight. And hydroponic technology is also incorporated in this. So in indoor agriculture, we supplement plants or we grow plants using artificial light, and artificial light is required to provide the optimum light levels for the plants to grow. Because of its ability to grow healthy, bountiful food virtually anywhere, year around, indoor agriculture has the power to reshape the entire agricultural industry. The biggest advantage of indoor farming is that it allows growers to optimize the growing process for higher yields. Droughts, storms, insect infestations, and all other hazards of growing outdoors are eradicated in indoor farming. Instead, farmers can control everything right down to the amount of light the plant is receiving on a minute to minute basis. And this could have more greater implications in terms of molecular mining. Then there is aquaponics. Aquaponics is a method of combining aquaculture and hydroponics in a recirculating environment. So we grow fish or other aquatic animals, and using the waste from the fish, we grow plants. So in aquaponics, the fish produces the waste and it is converted using nitrifying bacteria into nutrients, and that nutrients is utilized by plants. So plant roots absorb the nutrients to thrive from the system, and in return the plant roots clean and filter the water for the fish to live in. Now this is a sustainable fruit production system. It offers two potential incomes, that is by growing fish and by cultivating plants. And this method is a highly water efficient method. Then climate smart advisory. So data driven agriculture services draw on a variety of data sources, including satellite imagery, weather information, and farm profiles to support the decision making of smallholder farmers. In order to achieve sustainable development in the face of the intensifying impacts of climate change, agriculture production systems need to increase agriculture productivity and incomes, adapt to the impacts of climate change, contribute to climate change mitigation. And over here, climate smart advisories could play an important role. They could integrate data from different sensors, IoTs, satellites, drones, and those data sets or points can be fed into a AI system or a machine learning algorithm, and insights could be generated which could predict that what kind of irrigation pattern or what kind of nutrients need to be supplemented to the farms in order to ensure that the farmers' incomes are secure. Then climate smart supply chain. So climate change threatens the global supply chains, the ports, the coastal infrastructure, the supply chain disruption caused by hurricanes, floods, wildfires, and other forms of increasingly extreme weathers are jolting the global economy. Not only that, climate change also threatens the global food production and nutritional quality of the food, which is a big concern. Food becomes more susceptible to spoilage if not stored or processed properly. And climate change could potentially double the post harvest losses if not stored properly. Hence, it is important that we create a climate smart supply chain to ensure that the global food supply chain does not get affected. Then climate smart warehousing. So the temperature, the fire safety, the lighting is important, and all of these needs to be integrated. Now, these climate supply chain warehousing and food packaging is important because with increasing heat or increase with changing climate change, food becomes more susceptible to more diseases. It becomes more susceptible to spoilage. And if we do not control our supply chain, if we do not create a supply chain or warehouse facility that is climate controlled, or we are not checking about what kind of pest is there, or is there is any spoilage, or if there is any contamination, then these losses could incur exponentially. Then climate smart food packaging. So there are two techniques. There are novel techniques. So first is cold plasma, and second is ozone technology. So cold plasma is a novel non-thermal food processing technology that uses energetic reactive gases to inactivate contaminating microbes on meats, poultry, fruits, and vegetables. And ozone technology basically could be used in two different ways, that is in liquid and so in liquid solution, novel ozone technologies can be used to disinfect processing water and vegetables, and in gaseous form, novel ozone technologies helps to sanitize and preserve vegetables during storage. Now, both these technologies are novel and highly energy efficient and very effective, and hence both of these technologies could play a vital role in ensuring that we have a climate smart food packaging system. Then climate smart timber production. So timber production and prices are determined by the global demand for forest products and the capability of producers from many different countries to grow and harvest trees, transform them into products and export. A global forest products model can simulate how the global demand and supply of multiple products among many countries determines prices and attendant consumption, production, and trade. In the era of climate change, it is important that we create timber production models that could benefit farmers and also ensure that we progress towards sustainability. Now, the major challenge with timber production is that if we are cutting the forest, basically we are cutting the way of sequestering the carbon which is in the atmosphere. So if we cut more forest, we are basically increasing the emissions which are already present in the atmosphere, and hence proper strategies need to be implemented to ensure that we have a climate smart timber production system. Then agroforestry. Agroforestry is defined as a land use system which integrate trees and shrubs on farmlands and rural landscapes to enhance productivity, profitability, diversity, and ecosystem sustainability. Now, agroforestry encourage and expand tree plantation in complementarity and integrated manner with crops and livestock. It protect and stabilize ecosystems, meet the raw material requirements of wood based industries, and complement achieving the target of increasing forest and tree cover. And hence, agroforestry could be a way forward for communities to thrive. Then, carbon capture technologies. Carbon capture and storage refers to a collection of technologies that can combat climate change by reducing CO2 emissions or greenhouse gases emission. So, there basically agriculture waste could be used to create value added products. At the same time, it will also ensure that the carbon is captured and getting not escaped into the environment. So basically, biochar, paper, cardboard, compost, biofuel, bio-based chemicals, bio-based wood substitutes could be a way of capturing carbon and storing carbon. Then there is AI and ML tools for plant diagnosis. So crop diseases are a major threat to food security, but their rapid identification remains difficult in many parts of the world due to the lack of necessary infrastructure and knowledge. The combination of increasing global smartphone penetration and recent advances in computer vision made possibly by deep learning could be a viable solution in future. In order to develop accurate image classifiers for the purpose of plant disease diagnosis, need a large and verified data set of images of diseases and healthy plants. And until very recently, such data sets did not exist. But with rapid progress in science and research, AI and ML based tools could pave a way forward. So, to develop basically a smart or drone assisted plant diagnosis system. So, if you could see at the below, you could see that there are images that have showed how a field of farm could be checked by a drone, and how they can segregate different farmlands in what type of crop is growing and how much damage has been caused. And on the right hand side, you can see that how various image processing softwares differentiate different plants or different conditions in plant. Then methods and kits for pathogen detection. So to minimize the losses caused by pathogen, a critical step is to detect the pathogens in an early stage. Early detection of plant diseases is a crucial factor to prevent or limit the spread of a rising infection that could cause significant economic loss. Nucleic acid based protocols for point of care plant pathogen detection and identification are important. These methods have a highly potential for early detection of destructive diseases in agriculture and forestry. Molecular detection for plants pathogens should be should be made accessible to anyone anywhere and at any time. We do not suggest that on-site methods should replace lab testing completely, which remains crucial for more complex researches such as identification and classification of new pathogens or the study of plant defense mechanisms. Instead, point of care devices or analysis can provide a useful, fast, and efficient preliminary on-site screening that is crucial in the struggle against plant pathogens. And in order to build a nation wide capacity to tackle these challenges, especially after COVID. These protocols, these methods of rapidly identifying pathogens is more critical for national security. Then renewables for energy resilience. So as agri-food supply chains get modernized, alternatives of to food fossil fuel energy sources are needed to ensure that the food systems are built on secure, environmentally sustainable, and resilient foundations. And renewable energy plays an important role to provide electricity demand, the heating, cooling, and transport needs in the food system for both the developed as well as the developing countries. In so doing, it can advance efforts to end hunger, reduce drudgery, lower greenhouse gases emissions, increase the adaptive capacity of farmers and agri enterprises, raise incomes, and lessen the environmental impact of the food sector. Now, solar energy could be used for irrigation and polyhouse farming. Even renewables based agro processing systems could be used. Renewable energy based cold storage and refrigeration systems could be used and could play a vital role in ensuring that we have a energy resilient climate infrastructure. Now, climate smart agriculture have we can say that in order to ensure that climate smart agriculture is basically adopted, people are aware about climate smart education. Basically, people are aware about climate smart agriculture. So there are 4 points which needs to be done if we want to create a climate smart agriculture system. So first is education, then there is basically Indian Jugaad, then there is technology adoption by the farmers, and then innovations which can play a very vital role in ensuring that we create a climate smart agricultural infrastructure. So first, education. So education is developing a climate smart agricultural manual for agriculture education to the farmers or the students who are into agriculture. The manual should be integrated in all agriculture learning curriculum and shall form a standard approach or intervention against climate change and promoting sustainable development. Then training workshop on climate smart agriculture by conducting capacity building workshops and training events to students, lecturers, or relevant stakeholders in the agriculture education and farmers, basically farmers. It is important that we need to train them for climate smart agriculture. Now, climate smart agriculture assistance will also help further integrate agriculture education and the agriculture industry, which is also very important. Third is climate preparedness. This includes having the necessary policies, infrastructure, relationships, and behaviors in place to prepare for and recover from climate impacts. Preparing for climate change also means taking personal action at home as well as in our community. Then the Indian Jugaad. So Jugaad is basically a undeniable Indian approach of innovating novel groundbreaking ideas to solve day-to-day problems. The spirit of Jugaad is embodied in the ability to work within limited resources to build something valuable. Hence, Jugaad is perhaps a promising alternative for creating cost-effective, eco-friendly solutions that can offer an inexpensive, profitable product. So, oil extraction from agricultural waste, frugal agricultural machinery could be developed. There are different examples which have been uh, done at grassroots level by different farmers across the country, and these machineries could really help farmers. Then eco-friendly fishing traps is also a way of basically promoting sustainability and ecology. And then brew your own compost tea. In order to ensure that we have good soil health, people can easily put a drum, they could spark some air into the drum, and they can easily brew their own compost tea. So basically, compost tea is you put some compost into water and you aerate that water. So the beneficial microbes grow, and you could easily irrigate your field using this water. Then technology adoption. So climate smart agriculture technologies have been developed by scientists and researchers amidst the high rise in climate change. Some of these technologies are improved versions of old practices, while a few other are entirely new in system. So appropriate technologies to adopt to the changing climatic conditions will necessarily need to be drought tolerant, grow and produce well within a short duration, tolerant to multiple pests and diseases, able to produce well under marginal soil fertility conditions, and high yielding among other desirable traits. So basically, these are the traits of seeds. So seeds could be developed, which can be then adopted by the farmers. These technological traits embedded in the seeds are vital and should be supported by appropriate agronomic practices to aid the climate change mitigation process. Apart from that, rapid development in sensor technology could also play an important role in adopting climate smart agriculture practices by the farmers. The data collected through various sensors in the agriculture field could help farmers make appropriate decisions to improve their productivity and incomes. And finally, the innovations in the climate smart agriculture area. So, the adoption of appropriate climate smart innovations is a major step towards enhancing food security, building climate resilience capacity, as well as reducing or removing greenhouse gases emissions from farms to sustainably maintain agricultural livelihoods. Now, climate smart agriculture innovations have a synergistic effect on the adoption of other innovations with the goal of soil and water conservation. Now, despite various initiatives to increase the adoption of these technologies through public agriculture extension programs, the adoption rate of climate smart agriculture innovations is quite low in rural countries of developing countries in general, and especially in India. And that is primarily because due to limited or no access to basic agricultural technologies, improper identification, valuation, and prioritization of climate smart agriculture innovations, misinformation, high uncertainty, institutional constraints, and low human capital with desired skill sets, and low input availability and poor infrastructure is hindering the adoption of climate smart agriculture innovations in the farms. And then there is green synthesis of fertilizer and other agri inputs. So using state of the art technology such as plasma technology or nanotechnology, we can create cheap fertilizers for farmers. The successful development of and implementation of green and sustainable technologies in a modular distributable system which will allow farmers to effectively fertilize their farm with increased nitrogen and pH control or management. This will help farmers to save money, that is dollar per acre or rupees per acre, promote global food security with greater access to fertilizers in developing regions, decrease smog and deforestation, and mitigate up to 80% of greenhouse gas emissions versus incumbent production, distribution, and application of fertilizers. So these are few of the techniques, I would say novel techniques, that is low cost plasma reactors for on-farm nitrogen fertilizer production. Then there is green synthesis of plant fertilizer, then green synthesis of plant fertilizers based on nano formulations, and mining of biomining of secondary and micronutrients from waste. So all these technologies are highly energy efficient and could pave for a sustainable and ecological future. Then this is me. We provide consultancy services. This is my WhatsApp number, my email ID. You can also join our YouTube channel. Uh, and with that, I would like to thank you all once again. And I would like to thank Agriculture Infrastructure Information, pardon me for that, Agriculture Information for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present myself and to give this talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rohan, for a very detailed presentation. Since we are running short of time, I will just take some couple of questions. So what does Prakriti AgTech exactly do?
So we are basically into hydroponic consultancy services, regenerative agriculture, and climate smart agriculture. Uh, we have recently formed a new company that is Prakriti Sciences, and you can reach out to us if you need any assistance. If you want any assistance, you can reach out to us.
And this is located where?
We are based in New Delhi.
Okay. Next, how do you help farmers? How do you your company?
We have recently developed India's first climate smart fertilizer. We are still into basically getting validation by the ICAR and different research organizations of the government. And once they approve our product, only then we will be able to market our product. And basically, it is a product which could protect or ensure that a farmer's income is secured during extreme heat waves. So our product protect the plants from or elevate the plants from excess heat waves that were witnessed last year.
Okay. So now I'll take up the last question. Please let us know a little about your career background and what made you to take an interest in agriculture.
Okay, so I have completed my PhD from Institute of Chemical Technology in 2019. Apart from that, I have completed my BTech and MTech in biotechnology. After that, I have also worked in eValueServe, where I got exposure of patent research and different agriculture and different technologies which are evolving around the globe. And during that time, I had this passion for agriculture, and I started doing my independent research in the year 2020. related to hydroponic farming. So with when I started my research, I started reading about all the different technologies in agriculture, and I stumbled upon different innovations in agriculture, which made me feel that I should pursue my culture, basically my career in agriculture.
Okay. Mr. Mohan, I have displayed the contact number of Mr. Rohan. You can make a note of it. So if you have any question, now you can post it, Mr. Mohan. Okay, I guess he has making a note of your contact number, so he may directly contact you.
Yes, please call me if you need any assistance. I generally provide first consultancy for free. So if you have any issues, don't worry. I won't charge money. If you need any help, you can call me. Any farmer, आप फार्मर लोगों से मेरा निवेदन है कि अगर आपको किसी भी चीज की सहायता हो, किसी भी जानकारी, आप कोई भी जानकारी अगर आपको चाहिए, तो आप मुझे बेझिझक कॉल कर सकते हैं। हम आपसे पैसे नहीं लेंगे, हम आपकी सहायता के लिए ही यहीं पर हैं। अगर आपको किसी भी तरीके की जानकारी या सहायता चाहिए हमसे, तो हमसे जो बल पाएगा हम आपकी सहायता करेंगे। धन्यवाद।
That's good to know. Thank you. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agriculture, we like to thank you for a very detailed presentation and answering all the questions in depth. And we also like to thank all the participants for joining this meeting. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're most welcome. Thank you.